So finally, we're here. So we just go straight. Honestly, I'm really so glad to have you here, Vanessa.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here. You know, like I said, it's the very early morning of my birthday. It's still dark outside, so I've got a light here going on. But my favorite thing to do in the world is to help people transcend their limitations, you know, and find real meaning and purpose. So very excited to be here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And firstly, I would like to congratulate you for your birthday, and I want to say happy birthday to you. You know, when I was inspired, when I got initiated to do this to do this program, actually, the first person that came into my mind was just you.
Oh.
You know, I was like, okay, I'll reach out for Vanessa and let's see what's gonna happen. And I never even knew it was your birthday. You know. When I got your reply, I was okay. Wow, that's really amazing, man. You know.
Yeah, totally. Well,
I really want to thank you for joining me today, and I want to say a very big happy birthday to you. Mm-hmm. And I hope after this event today, you're going to have a lot of fun. You know.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and yeah, really grateful that you reached out.
Awesome, and also for everybody who is joining us tonight, and or I don't know if it's day in where you are, but where I am, this is 11 p.m. in the Scandinavian here, so all the way from Denmark here. And Vanessa is joining us all the way from Australia, Melbourne. Mm-hmm. So wherever you're joining us in this event, I want to welcome you. And if you have any question as regards to how to discover your purpose or how to find what your life gift is all about, please kindly DM me a message, or you can just write on the comment section. Then we'll just try to take as much as random question we can attend to before our time runs out in this place. Firstly, let me quickly introduce Vanessa to you. Vanessa is a personality profiler, is a group coach. She's an entrepreneur, and she's the founder of Limitless Academy, where group seekers goes to get the best help for them to discover who they really are. It's actually a great pleasure for me to have you here, Vanessa, today. Mm-hmm. I'm really, really, really so excited. And I want to welcome each and every one of us who are joining us today. Congratulations for this platform. And I believe after today, you're going to get the best information on how to discover your purpose and refine your gift and live the best life that was designed for you to live. Thank you so much. So we go straight to the first question we really want to talk about today, Vanessa. You know, I realize sometimes most of us will find it difficult to differentiate between gift, talent, and purpose. Mm. What do you think? How will you differentiate between gift, talent, and purpose, and how can you use them all together?
I love this question, and thanks for that good introduction as well, Eddie. So yeah, basically, I feel like, you know, our talents and our gifts are kind of synonymous. So what they really are, from my perspective and experience, is they're those innate kind of natural kind of gifts that you have, you know, those things that come sort of more easily than other people might, you know, have that thing come up for them. And, you know, we still need to build our skill around it, but we kind of have this kind of natural ability or this inclination to kind of move in that direction. And we're oftentimes oblivious to what that is for us. And a lot of times other people can see that for us much better than we can. And so we could look at our feedback that we get, you know, what are we good at? And people, you know, if you ask enough people who know you, they tend to have kind of the same sort of similar answers that can guide you towards that. Or it might be something that you're just energized by, and maybe, you know, you just do it so easily, you kind of expect everybody like does this, don't they? You know? And then basically, I love that you asked this question with talent and your gifts and combining it with purpose, because your purpose is ultimately the reason why you're here. You know, why do you exist? What were you put on this place, this earth to do? You know, it's that purpose, it's that meaning, it's your unique expression of your individuality. You know, as a human being with all of our similarities, you're unique. You know, there's no other Eddy Mufy, there's no other Vanessa Jane Patrick. We're all equal, but we're all different. We bring different talents, gifts towards the purpose that most inspires and energizes us. But ultimately, you know, it's all about evolving, transcending our limitations, and being able to contribute through our own personal experiences what's been meaningful to us. So all about growth, all about contribution, but you can't, you know, these kind of talents and your gifts are innate to your ability to really find and focus on and derive your real purpose in this existence.
Wow.
Mm.
That's so that's so incredible. That's so incredible.
Good. Love it.
Awesome. You know, when I did some research about you, Vanessa, there was something I discovered about you that was really pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you grew up in a family that is very highly academic. Almost everybody is on one profession on the other, and it was pretty difficult for you to find your own path because everybody in the family already have a kind of design of what they want you to do or who they want you to become as a person. And I read a place whereby even your mother at a point stopped talking to you because you choose to be who you are today, right? So how at what point do you actually really realize you really got that kind of awakening within you that I'm not comfortable with what the system or the family want me to do, or I'm not comfortable with what the system wants to make me to become? Then at what point you really got into that awakening to really be the kind of person you are today? What really happened?
It wasn't an easy journey, you know. It was a pretty tough one. And, you know, basically, I was that kind of person who never knew what I wanted to do. I lacked the clarity. But really, from, you know, this perspective and this experience I'm at right now, I can reflect back to those times where I thought I didn't have clarity, and I absolutely did have some clarity. It was that I was just too externally focused. What does everybody else want from me? You know, how can I make people happy? Who do I need to be loved and accepted and approved of? And like you said, yeah, coming from a very highly academic family, my dad, my brothers, they're all engineers. You know, I grew up with everybody around me saying, you've got your dad's intelligence, you know, you could do anything. You know, what do you want to do? And I even have a memory of my mum used to drop me off at primary school every morning, and she'd take me and she'd say the same thing to me before I got out of the car. And she'd say, you know, you can do anything that you want, right? Like do whatever you want, ask lots of questions, learn, you can be anything. And I remember one day she asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember, like, at the time, I loved police people, you know, policemen, policewomen. I just thought, wow, they're so cool. And actually my best friend's dad was a policeman. So I thought, you know, that he was pretty cool. And I said, oh, maybe I want to be a policewoman. And I remember distinctly, you know, her whole demeanor changed, you know, from this excited, what do you want to be when you grow up, to a policewoman? That's dangerous. Like, you don't want to do that, right? And that was a moment probably at, you know, probably about 8 or 9 years old, maybe around that age, where I kind of learned, oh, I don't get to choose. The people are like, I have to look to other people to determine what's safe for me to do and what you know, will be approved of and what I won't be approved of for. And, you know, it was at that moment that kind of, you know, the excitement about what I could be kind of left me. And I entered into just doing what I had to do to be accepted. And that led me all the way through to my brother choosing what degree I did at university. He said, why don't you do business? I said, okay, did a business degree. Even though I had an inkling, I wanted to do psychology. I loved people. And I loved knowing, why do we do what we do? but no, there's no money in that. Like, you know, all the outside perspectives going on. And then basically even my dad took me over to Germany to meet a female engineer because he thought he wanted me to be an engineer like him. You know, so I had all these external influences who were trying to do the best for me. You know, their model of the world was, in order to be happy and successful and fulfilled, you go and you become a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer. So that was my next step. After business wasn't fulfilling for me, the business degree, I thought, what am I going to do now? I went out into the workforce. I worked in a bank, and I was a mortgage lender, you know, like crazy stuff that's just totally not me. But I liked the group of people that I worked with. And I went back to uni because that was my only form of personal development. I didn't know how else do you grow. I didn't know about personal development, the whole industry there. And basically I thought, well, I still don't know what I want to do. But maybe if I do a law degree, that'll open up the most doors. And so that's the journey I went on. But every single day that went by was more and more draining to my soul, to my energy. I felt so inauthentic that I was almost embarrassed to connect with my fellow students. I'd like escape from them. I hated when somebody came and sat next to me or wanted to study with me, and I didn't really know why. But it was because I felt so incongruent in my life. And it wasn't until an ex-partner of mine introduced me to the work of Tony Robbins and took me along to one of his events. And that was, you know, just mind-boggling for me, like that we could actually ask ourselves what it is that we want to do. We could actually discover all the reasons why we were doing what we were doing, and that the fact that they were leading us into a really unfulfilling, mediocre, disconnected, inauthentic life. And basically I had an experience at one of these Tony Robbins events, because I did my first one and it blew my mind, and I signed up for the whole, you know, Mastery University. And basically I got myself to the second event. And through this period of time, from the first opportunity for me to actually ask myself and consider what I want to do with my life for the first time in my life, and this was at about 24, 25 years old. I'm 33 today, you know, and the second event I got to between those two events was the most shocking experience of my life. Going to uni, forcing myself to do something. I was now having the courage to listen to that inner voice that knew I wasn't on the right path, but I was terrified to own it and acknowledge it. And by the time I got to this second event, it was only a few months later. You know, I was on the couch, like unable to try and like even focus. I struggled. I got so sick physically, you know, and I didn't know why until at this event. I was in a room of about 2,000 people. You know, we're in this Tony Robbins event, and everybody's in this quick moment where we've got to answer these questions. And it was all about who was the person that you craved the most love from when you were growing up. For me, it was my father. And, you know, we had to ask ourselves, well, who did you have to be to get the love from that person? And for me, I had to, you know, be the intelligent one who was successful, who could become like a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, and discount my emotions and my feelings and get the job done. You know, all of those sort of very logical, rational sort of ways of being. And basically I was having all these answers come up for the first time. And I had this inner voice going, you know, you're not on the right path. Like, who do you think you are? You're not a lawyer, right? Like, that's not who you are. You love people. You love bringing people together, not tearing them apart, you know? And then there was this other part of me. It was like these two parts. The other side of me was going, no. You're too old to make a change. I'm 24, 25. You have to finish what you started, right? My dad's words in my head. You have to finish what you started. Like, you know, you're too old. And then I'm having this internal dialogue and battle in this moment. And all of a sudden, across this room of 2,000 people, this woman leapt up from her seat, and she was in tears of gratitude. And she kind of yelled out to Tony. He gave her the mic. He said, what's going on, you know? And she said, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful right now. And she said, you know, all my life, I've been a successful lawyer. I've been hugely successful, you know, and I've had 3 divorces. None of my children talk to me. But right now at this moment, I've just discovered that I became a lawyer because I thought that's who my father needed me to be loved. And now I'm so grateful because I'm only 65 years old and I've got the entire rest of my life to live authentically, to discover what drives me, what I'm passionate about, what would be fulfilling for me, you know. And this woman has 40 years on me, and she's crying tears of gratitude to know that she's discovered this knowledge now, so she can go about spending the rest of her life discovering what's authentic and energizing for her. And in that moment, my fear of being too old to make a change completely shattered, you know. And it just so happened that 2 days, like the day after the actual event, was the final day I had to let my university know whether I was coming back for another semester or not. Called them, did it. And like you said, you know, all of my deepest fears that were keeping that truth, that inner voice, that inner knowing hidden from me, all of my deepest fears came true, right? Like my family said all the things that I was so terrified of hearing. You're a failure. You've got to finish what you started. Have you been lying to us? All these sorts of things. And they said it all. And like you said, my mum, you know, she deleted me off Facebook. She, you know, wouldn't talk to me for months. And basically all of the deepest thing, and also my family, you know, provided for me, like paid me a full-time wage to be at uni, you know, everything was paid for. It was very cushy, right? All my needs taken care of. You just have to sell your soul and not be authentic and do what we want you to do. They didn't mean that though, because that's what helped me transcend my fears and insecurities about doing what was right for me. I realized that actually my parents just want me to be happy. My family just wants me to be happy. But their model of the world says you have to do this to be happy. If you do this, you're probably crazy, and you know, and you're not going to have money, and you're not going to have this. So they're trying to keep me happy. So it's now my responsibility to take control of my own life. Even if it is not, I don't know exactly the path yet. I just know the wrong path I have to get off. But basically, you know, that was the point where everything shifted for me, and I had a level of certainty within myself I'd never had in the whole 25 years leading up to this point. It was always, what does everybody else think? I could never trust myself because I wasn't listening to myself. And we all have the answers within us, every single one of us. We know innately there's those, you know, there's those little glimpses, those little intuitions about what we're passionate about, what we love, what our gifts are, what our talents are. You know, they alert us to it. What other people say, wow, you're so good at that, or they come to us, you know. And I've lived a life having everybody since my primary school years tell me all their secrets, tell me all their problems, tell me all their challenges, and I'd help and support them on that. You know, that was, you know, that's part of my core personhood. You know, it's part of that gift that I have, and it's connected to the purpose that I have to help people feel good about themselves, discover who they are, be authentic, get on purpose, and create meaning and fulfillment in their lives. So long answer for you, but yeah, hope that helps people.
Wow.
Mm.
That's really incredible. That's really incredible. That was really a tough time for you to deal with, actually. You know, it's kind of almost similar to the same experience I had when I just moved to this part of the world. You know, when I arrived in Europe, I had a very tough childhood when I was growing up as a little child. You know, when I arrived in Europe, I wanted to revenge my history with whatever I can get my hold on, what I get my hand on to do. So at the point in life, I figured like I only have two choices to do this. And is that I sell drugs on the streets, or I do whatever is available? You know, I get on the streets and I started selling. You know, at a point in my life, I realized I was unhappy. regardless of what I make, regardless of whatever amount of money I have in my pocket, I was not a happy person. I'm mostly, when I see somebody with a negative effect of drug on the street, whether I'm the one selling for this person or I'm not the one selling for this person, I'm just feeling emptied of happiness. You know, I begin to think about myself. Like, I think I'm better than this. I can do better than this. I'm created to contribute something positive to the universe, to the human race, to the human life, not just rather than make a contribution. I think I can do something more better. And during this time, I I had a problem. You know, I was arrested, and when I came out, I was like, okay, do you still have to continue this life where you're not happy, or do you want to go in search for what makes you happy? You know, and I decided, okay, no, I have to change. I have to change this location, because if I remain in this same environment, I don't think the influence is going to allow me to do what I want to make the decision. Because I'm going to see a lot of people who's going to tell you, come and do this. You don't just have to give up on this. You have to come back and do it. But there are a lot of people around me who really loved me to continue in this line of business, but I wasn't happy.
Mm.
They could see me smiling, but within me, I know something was missing within me. I know I was born to do something better. I know I was born to create a positive impact to human life. You know, I decided at the point I just called one of my friends. Then I said, you know what? This is my mobile phone and I used to work. Today I'm breaking the SIM card. And even my personal telephone SIM card and I contact, I destroyed the contact because I didn't even want anybody to reach me at all. Because the more I keep getting in touch with people that at a particular moment, it's going to affect my decision. You know, I took that drastic action and decided to go inside for myself. You know, I traveled out of Italy then. I moved into Denmark and I don't even know anything about motivation, truthfully. I don't know anything about motivational speaker. I don't know anything about inspirational speaker or whatever. On a very good faithful day, I was just watching straight on YouTube. I don't even know what I was looking for. All of a sudden, I bumped into Les Brand clip on on the YouTube. And I something just asked me to click on this black dude. You know, I clicked on that video and man, that was the moment of epiphany in my life. It was just the aha moment I never thought I could experience in my life. You know, I was so glued to that video. I think the topic was live your dream. You know, I was so glued to that video. And I began to read the comments under the video. As I'm like, okay, now you know what? I have just found myself. You know, I just felt this kind of joy, like a dew fell just up. No, I was so refreshed that very particular. And I began to think, okay, how do I build myself up as a person? You know, there's this kind of joy you found in you when you actually step into your purpose and discover who you are as a person. You know, you really done incredible to actually be able to follow the path that leads to your happiness as a person. So my question is this: if when you find yourself as a person, if you discover like, okay, this is my gift, or this is my talent, and this is what I can do with it, what are those step by step you can actually put together to refine your gift or your talent to be able to live your purpose?
Yeah, great question, because you know, most of us don't listen to that inner voice that's alerting us to, hey, you know, this feels right or this doesn't feel right, you know, and we think that, oh, we just have this one big purpose, that we miss the point that ultimately we're kind of like an onion, you know, and we kind of have these different layers. So you might start on the outer layer of your onion, you know, and that might alert you to a little bit of that purpose. But then we kind of have to go, it's like a dynamic process. It's not static, you know, and we have to keep unraveling that onion for the rest of our lives. You know, we're going to have these different purposes come into play. But basically, I've actually done a course on this, which is there's kind of these 8 steps that allow you to tap into empowered achievement and purpose. And it all starts with a new layer of the onion. You might be at that outer layer now, or if you're somebody listening to this and you don't have purpose, you're like, I don't know what my purpose is. Make your purpose to discover your purpose. All right. That's your purpose right now, because this is so important for actualizing your potential in life. And, not just living a life of mediocrity, but actually getting to live life, tap into what Eddy just mentioned, that joy that we can experience when we know we're contributing, we're making a meaningful difference. But basically, with those 8 steps, the first step, every time you discover or unravel another level of the onion, because you're listening into what feels right, what doesn't feel right, as you go through experiences in the journey of life, we want to start you with really tapping into what inspires you authentically. That's where that energy is. And so there's different processes that you can be going through that, but we'd be here all day, because like I said, I've done a course on this, so it's pretty in depth. But if I give you those steps, it will give you some certainty and some clarity and direction for when you kind of have an inkling. And if, like I said, if your purpose right now is to discover your purpose, this is perfect for you as well. It's tapping into, what do you value? What authentically inspires you? And basically, as you guys probably heard, as you know, Eddy, I'm a personality profiler. So coming from where I did, which was kind of being so focused on the external, what I should do, I lost touch with the internal. And basically, I've become the kind of human guinea pig of personal development, what fits. And I've had to really dive into my inner world and discover for the first time as an adult, who the hell I am, and so when I've come across these specific frameworks around understanding the neuroscience of our personality, what's actually going on in our brain that makes us focus on particular things, what our values are, what we're drawn to, what energizes us. There's answers to that have science behind it. And when you discover these kind of frameworks, you get to actually fast track. It's like handing you the manual on how to become your best self as an individual, not one size fits all, but your unique direction. And of course, that's going to be colored with your experiences and perceived voids that you've had growing up that create tremendous values in your life. But basically, step 1, that was a long-winded one, but you've got to tap into your authentic inspiration with your values, who you are on a cognitive level as well. Then you have to master your ability to concentrate and focus, right? So your development of your talents, like when you tap into what those talents are, what authentically inspires you, you've got to go on the path of focusing and concentrating on the development of those things. And that includes, a vision for what you want, and being able to have something out there that you're concentrating and focusing on that's pulling you through the challenges, the inevitable challenges that are going to come your way through life, whether you're going for purpose or you're trying to just stay safe and small, Then people need to go into step 3, which is all about receptivity and tapping into your vulnerability, because many people discover this thing that they want to do, they start taking action toward it, but what they neglect to do is open up their ability to receive success. A lot of us get caught up. We want to give, but we can't receive. So what happens is we stunt our growth because, we start making traction towards what we're passionate about. And then we receive from people, maybe they give us money for what we're doing, or acknowledgement or whatever it is. But if we're not feeling good within ourselves and open to receive, we end up throwing that away. We throw the money away, we throw the opportunities away, we throw the people's acknowledgement away, and that ends up stifling our growth. If we're too much on the giving aspect, we want to contribute, but we're not willing to receive, it's counterproductive. So that's a really important step. We also need to use our creativity and our imagination. So we need to be able to future project. Some of the most successful people in this world all say the same thing. They project what could happen that's negative. you know, and it kind of is counterintuitive to a lot of positive psychology, you know, but if you prepare for the worst, you know, you won't have to experience that topping you off, you know, so you can actually get about moving forward because you're already prepared. You future project about what could get in the way of what you want. And also, you want to also connect to your desired feelings, because any goal or any purpose that we're moving towards is ultimately driven by the feelings that you want to experience. So being clear on that will alert you to when you're still on path, when you're getting off path. There's a lot of intelligence around being connected to our emotional states and how things are influencing us. Then, you know, step 5, going into your organization, tapping into insights as you go along, really getting into the strategy and being able to prioritize life, you know, cut away things that aren't going to get you towards what you want, and ultimately, you know, keep on track and make everything that you're doing measurable. Tapping into your intuition, continuing to build that muscle of listening into and being guided by what feels right to you at a soul level, rather than the judgments, opinions in your external world. And the step 7 is going into self-love, being able to get to a new level of acceptance of where you're headed. And a key point here is your ability to discern, you know, and let go of the past. A lot of times, you know, our relationships, our experiences of the past aren't conducive or congruent with what we want to create with our lives. And they're getting in the way. They're kind of like, you know, you're in a boat and it's got a leak, right? And you're paddling, you're putting all your effort towards this thing that you want to move toward, but you haven't taken the time to, you know, get rid of the leak, you know, and that's in our ability to cut away all that is no longer congruent with the person that we are, who we're becoming, and where we're going, and how we want to serve and contribute. And also that means letting go of the past hurts, and healing different wounds are a big part there. And finally, you know, you've just got to be taking massive action in your life toward these things, you know, commit, take action, and also being able to acknowledge when things aren't working along the path, and also your ability to be flexible and continue to learn. You know, if you're not learning, you're not growing, right? And if you're not growing, you're dying. So basically, that's me trying to encapsulate an entire course that I take people through in a very short amount of time. But I still hope that that's of value to people, because they're the real key 8 points that will, if we follow them and they're systemized for a particular reason in that order, when we follow those steps, they really do allow us to live on purpose and make sure and ensure that, you know, we don't get tripped up along the way, at least not for long, you know, because we've got something to come back to and transcend.
Wow, amazing. Honestly, you say something very explicit to me. You say something that if you haven't really discovered what your purpose is, take it as a purpose to actually go in search for what it is. Because when you find who you are, then you actually really discover the joy of living.
That's right.
Honestly, this is really, really amazing. This for everyone who is just joining us right now, if you have any question you would really like to be addressed as regard to how to discover your purpose and your talent and your gift, kindly send please on the comment section, or you just send us a message. Then we quickly take a look at it before we'll end of the program. So my question now is this, Vanessa.
Yep.
Most of if you look into the system very well, 80% of the people you might know are likely not living with what took them to the university to spend 5 years or 6 years or however it is. And almost everybody find themselves drifted a lot before they kind of realize, okay, this is not for me. This is not really giving me what I want. Like the story of the woman you made mention during when we just chatted, the lawyer who finally discovered, okay, I've been in law for so many years. I've just been drifting without even knowing what my life is all about, until that very particular day she actually realized, yes, today is the day I'm being born. You know, somebody said that there are two most important days in your life. One is the day you're born, which the one you're celebrating today. And another one is the day you discover who you are, the reason, the purpose why you are being born into this universe. So my question now is this: how can we, like, even we as a, like now I'm a father, I have kids, you know. So how can parents actually be able to help their kids to discover their God-given talents in that early age of life, so that they don't have to drift through life like so many of us do before we finally realize, okay, this is my calling and this is my purpose?
And I love this question because it's super important, and it's actually a huge passion of mine because like Dr. John Demartini would say, you know, our perceived voids, whatever we perceived was missing from the beginning of our lives, they end up becoming our deepest values, you know, later on in life. And as you guys have heard, you know, part of what was missing in my childhood was, you know, this ability to choose for myself, you know, to discover, to make mistakes, you know, to experience life. And I think that's really key to be able to give your children that. But basically it all starts with the parents themselves. And I feel like if we as adults don't actually have our own basic kind of needs met, it's very hard for us to get out of a survivalistic mindset, you know. And so basically, I don't know if I could share my screen with you, but I think it would be helpful if I could show you guys. You've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Would that be okay if I just share?
Of course, sure, we can do that if possible.
Yeah. It might just help just to give people a visual, which is always helpful. But I don't know, we might have to change a setting in that, whatever, you let me know. But basically, you know, when as parents, if we can and I'm not a parent myself, so I'm talking as an adult, you know, you can know this better than me, obviously, but as human beings, you know, when we understand ourselves, you know, we can take responsibility for meeting our own needs. And when we understand ourselves, we get to understand others better. We get to give them, you know, this ability to be different to us, you know, and be okay with that, because we recognize ourselves as unique individuals. And, you know, and by doing so, you know, a parent should have a goal of helping create the best opportunity for their child to self-actualize, to reach their potential, and to give them the freedom to be different and to appreciate those differences. So, you know, I grew up, like, you know, in a very academic family. And I'm kind of like the black sheep in my family, if you look at it, because I'm very different. I'm very different. I've got very different wiring in my personality. Basically, when we look at all the 16 different personality types, which I call their genius styles, you know, there's these different pieces of the puzzle that all these different 16 types bring to the table, coupled with their own unique, you know, the however many billion people there are a unique expression of those types. But basically, a lot of us out there who are searching for answers, particularly when we do it from a young age, we tend to be the minority. We tend to only be about 25% of the population, and 75% of the population are a bit more just driven for the, you know, survival and kind of the more things that you can see and do right here, right now. And then there's this minority out there who are more focused on what's the meaning in life. Like what is it that brings us joy? Well, how can I, you know, focus on something bigger than just myself? And so if you fall into that minority, you're usually the ones who are seeking the answers early, and you tend to be a big outsider. You recognize that. So when adults can understand themselves at a deep level, they can give more room and flexibility for children to actually have more freedom of self-expression, and not trying to make their children just like them, but actually realize that there's a different pathway that might be more acceptable for their children. So, yeah, okay. So basically, I won't go through the hierarchy of needs so much, but basically, we all have an ability to be in a survivalistic mindset or a purpose-driven mindset, but we can't get to the purpose-driven mindset. A lot of us try and jump there, but we can't get there unless we've got our basic needs taken care of. So part of a parent's ability to serve their children's self-actualization is to make sure that they have got their basic needs met. You know, they're not worried about survival, you know, and they have got love and connection and belonging. You know, they have got a sense of safety and security, and then they're encouraged to discover what their talents are, what their gifts are, you know, build them up in their skill set so that they can build confidence and courage and self-esteem. And then that is the best, I think, any of us could do as parents for our children, so that we give them the best foundation possible for that individual or those individuals to actualize their own potential. But we can't just jump there, unfortunately, because a lot of people try and do that. A lot of people don't really know how to pay their bills, or they don't have good quality relationships, or, you know, they don't have, you know, a wage coming in, you know, or their health is on the line. So there's certain survival needs that we must focus on before we can get to the point where we're like, okay, I've taken care of me. That's taken care of. How do I want to impact and contribute to others? Because that's what self-actualization is. That's what your purpose is. It's not about you creating this really expensive, luxurious life where you get to travel the world. That might be part of it, but you can only sip so many pina coladas on the beach, right? Like, you know, that's not going to be fulfilling for you. But if it's all about you, that tends to be because you're taking care of your survival needs. And in order to serve your purpose and help the people that you love get to that point, it's encouraging them to take care of their inner world enough so that they can get to a point of truly and authentically wanting to contribute at a higher level, maybe fix a problem in society that they see, or help people who are struggling with things that they were once struggling with, you know, to transcend our problems, you know, and to be able to help other people do the same. And the best way to do that, role model, you know, kids are smart, right? We as human beings are smart. We want to look at what you do, not just what you say we should do. And that's really, I feel, key. So taking care of your children's basic needs, making sure that you understand yourself well enough to be able to give them freedom of expression to be all of who they are. And then, you know, role model that. You know, if you really want to be of influence to people that you care about, you have to be walking your talk at the end of the day. So hope that's helpful.
Wow, that's amazing. Honestly, I just wish every parents and guardians could actually listening to you and really work with this information. You know, I kind of personally realized that I had an interview with a guy some time ago who was an IT professional. You know, at some point in his life, after spending like 10 years in the IT job, then he realized IT was not actually what was meant for him. You know, before he began to find a path to his destiny. And when he find who he was as a person, then there was this kind of joy. You know, there's this kind of joy that always comes to you when you find yourself. You know, you just feel this kind of sense of awakening within you. Now I have found who I am as a person. You know, looking into the system, actually, I realized that there is so much of cynical reasons why sometimes we seek education. You know, education is supposed to be a place for refinement, you know, rather than a place whereby you go and seek what they have to offer you. You know, sometimes we end up spending 5 or 6 years in education, only to come out being confused without knowing where to start and without knowing what to do. And I realized that if you go to education, if you go into school with a sense of who you are, you get there and get refined rather than going there to be refueled with so much confusion and getting into the marketplace. You don't actually even know where to function. You don't know where to start from, and you don't know what to do. And if the place you've set your mind on that they're going to give you a job, and if you're not getting a job, all you got is confusion and frustration. And when you go to school with the right intention, going there to be refined with who you are already, like Socrates said, education is a place where you go to be rekindled rather than going there to be refueled. You understand? I come across this information firstly when I read the book of Robbie Sherman, the monk who sold his Ferrari. You know, that guy was doing so great in the law firm, but in spite of the acquisition and everything, but when we come to the joy of fulfillment was not really there until he began to engage on this journey of self-discovery, who I am as a person, what is meant for me, why am I actually here, what can I do with my ability, what is my purpose? Because I believe every day is an opportunity for you to explore on who you are, for you to deliver with the gift and the talent that was given to you as a person. And if we actually go to school with the right intention, there will be no need of being stranded or be drifting around before we actually discover who we are as a person. And I believe if every parent should be able to encourage their kids on who they are rather than on who they want them to become. Because I see so many cynicism in these aspects from our parents. You know, I grew up in a community whereby I remember one man in my village there, he wanted the son to become he wanted the first son to become a lawyer, and he wanted the other one, the second son to become a soldier man, an army man. He wanted to go into military so that in case there is a problem, so he will have so many defense around him, you know. So there were so many cynical reasons. So I think our parents should actually do the best they can to be able to encourage our kids in the best way they can be the best of themselves. So actually, let's talk about what are actually the basic benefits of living a life with purpose, Vanessa.
Well, I feel like you're either living a life on purpose and you're getting to consciously design a life that you're fulfilled by, that allows you to be truly authentic and deliver your unique talents and gifts so that you can feel a true sense of contribution and making a meaningful difference, or you're defaulting into a life of mediocrity, you know? So basically, it's whether you want to just get by or you truly want to live.
Yeah, sorry, man. I apologize for this. My son just woke up. You know.
Of course he did. When we're talking about what you should be doing as a parent, drop everything. It's good.
So let's go, Vanessa.
Yeah. So basically, just the last thing I'd want to say on that topic, in terms of what the benefit is, there's a brilliant book, if you guys haven't read it. It's called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, and it's by an Australian author by the name of Bronnie Ware. And basically, she was a palliative care nurse who looked after people right at the end of their lives. And she decided to ask them the question, you know, what do you regret the most? You know, about at the end of your life, you know, you can't change anything now. What's your biggest regret? And she correlated the data and it came up with these top 5 regrets of the dying. And the number 1 regret of the dying is, I wish I had have had the courage to live a life true to myself rather than one I felt was expected of me. So ask yourself today, you know, whose life am I living? Is this a life that I've designed from the inside out? Am I continuing to discover that? Or am I living it to the expectations of the world around me? And basically, if you live from the inside out, you'll create true fulfillment. You'll be on purpose. You'll know that your life matters. You'll be making a meaningful difference, and if you're not just there yet, it's worth spending your entire life discovering what that is and working towards that, because the other option is to be in fear, to be in doubt, to be at the direction of the world around you, and to ultimately default into mediocrity, because nobody gets to true fulfillment when they're living from the outside in rather than the inside out. So I hope that serves people.
Wow, that's really pretty there. Honestly, that's pretty amazing, man. That's really awesome. I have a question there for somebody, Vanessa. Somebody's asking me, at what age will you actually give up on yourself? Like, you really, okay, yes, I think this age is too much for me. There's nothing I can do with myself anymore.
So I didn't quite get the question. So at
what age
yeah.
will you give up on yourself not to pursue your dream or your purpose anymore?
Never. No, like, do you mean at what? Do you mean what age do people generally do that? Okay.
Yeah, at what age do people actually? Okay, the question is just like this: at what age can someone actually give up on pursuing his or her dreams, or goals or purpose or there?
Yeah, it's usually so as a general rule, between the ages of 0 to 7 is when we're creating an identity for ourselves. Who do we need to be? And we're learning. And that's generally when we've still got that juice and that inspiration, and we're curious and all those sort of things. But usually around the age of 7, it kind of hits. And at that age, we've kind of developed this little personality about, it's kind of a survivalistic mentality or personality that will get us by. We know what our parents, why they give us praise, what they give us praise for. So we do more of that. And when we get in trouble, we do a little bit less of that. But we generally about that age is when our identity kind of sits in. And then we go through life and we never question it again. So we're adults who made decisions about who we were going to be at 7 years old or younger. And basically, that's why we're not feeling fulfilled, because we didn't have the experience, the knowledge, the emotional intelligence to deal with everything. So that would be a general rule, I'd say.
Wow. Honestly, this is, I read a book by Bruce Lipton. This is the biology of belief.
Cool.
It was actually when I discovered I think this period between 0 and 7, where all this identity stuff can actually kick in. And I actually believe this is actually the very crucial moment in kids' life, whereby parents need to be very watchful to actually figure out what is this child good at. Yep. What is it trying to portray? What is it trying to show up with? Because I believe if every parent could actually be very sensitive to their children between this age of 0 and 7, they can actually be able to figure something out.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And, on top of that, we can look at that from an holistic approach, and really start to analyze. But there are frameworks out there that can help people to simplify this. There's some basic, like there's people who've been doing this work since the 1940s and beyond, and adding to this and contributing to this about the neuroscience of our personality and how we're born with this kind of particular inclination that can give us direction into our core needs at an individual level that ends up getting covered up by our developed selves, by our experiences. So if people are interested in discovering those sort of frameworks for themselves first and foremost, and then that gives them the ability to help and support their loved ones with it as well, then to reach out, or even I can give you just a free link for people to go and get a quick video series that will educate them a little bit on this sort of stuff. But there's lots of information out there, but that can help people as well to nurture their children and themselves, to rediscover who it is that you are if you didn't get that at a young age, because most of us didn't. And if you're a parent like you are, Eddy, I really encourage it as well, to be able to go, hey, all right, now I've got this whole pathway mapped out that people for years and years and years have done this work for me. And now I can see, do they fit over here a little bit, or here a little bit, or here a little bit? And oh my gosh, I don't know why the world doesn't know more about this stuff, because it's completely revolutionary to help and support and nurture our differences, and also appreciate ourselves and what those differences are as well.
Wow, amazing, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for this wonderful time to be together with you. Honestly, I truly appreciate and I truly really cherish this moment. And if I may ask, where can people actually be able to follow you or to find you in case anybody wants to reach out for you after this event?
Thank you for that. And yeah, it's my pleasure to be here with you. So good to meet you and connect with you, and to have a valuable conversation that can actually change and impact lives. So thank you for that. And yeah, the best place is really, I do most of my work from Facebook. So just here on Facebook, where this is going live, Vanessa Jane Patrick, you can contact me there, or jump on my website at vanessajanepatrick.com. And at the top of that, you'll actually see there's a free 3-part video series that I want everybody to have access to, which can just give them a little bit of an idea about what are those cognitive functions that are driving me, like that are connected to what my strengths and talents and my gifts are, that will ultimately direct me closer towards discovering what my purpose is, or giving us that reinforcement that we're on the right path. Because I know for myself personally, it's been just so valuable to have different models and frameworks that can give me the validation that I'd previously sought from people who didn't know, and instead, be able to tap into and reflect upon frameworks that can give me that clarity, and then see what feels right to me. So I want to give that gift to anybody who's listening as well. So yeah, hope they
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Congratulations to everyone who is listening right now. So I think you just log on to Vanessa and follow her on Facebook, and check on her website and get all those things she have recommended. And I want to thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Vanessa, honestly, I truly, truly appreciate you. You are one of those ladies out there that I truly respect in this self-help industry, who are not just there for some cynical reasons or just how to build email list or something. But each time I see your content, I see truthfulness, I see strength and power in whatever you do. And I want to really encourage you, and I appreciate you, and I hope we look forward to seeing more of you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. And I really appreciate your time that we've spent together. And I will look forward to see you again in another event. Stay tuned and God bless. Have a good night, everybody. So happy birthday, Vanessa, and we hope you have fun and enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And Eddy, I just want to say, because those words really touched me. So thank you for such a beautiful gift that you just gave me on my birthday.
Thank you.
Because they were the most meaningful compliments anybody could ever give to me. So deeply appreciated. And I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing. And I want to acknowledge you for the energy that you bring, because it is so contagious, and it's such a beautiful, joyful, authentic energy and an ease with life. And I feel like your energy will actually help people when they're dealing with challenges and problems, create some more ease and be able to take a bigger perspective on their challenges and know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what I feel from you, Eddy, and you're deeply appreciated. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, that really humbles me, man.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.